And greetings and salutations to you all, one and all over the globe from wherever you are tuning in. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you are and whatever time you're able to enjoy this podcast excellence. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, coming to you live from an undisclosed location deep in the heart of North American flyover country. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. Welcome to the Christian Whistleblower channel, under the radar, but always over the top. I hope that you caught the second installment of our series about it's not an aberration, it is an institutionalized abomination, talking about ritual child abuse and sacrifice within the Roman Catholic and Roman Protestant churches. That's right. I said within both of those churches. It'll be an ongoing revelation, an ongoing study. Don't really like to have to talk about it, but it's one of those things that just has to be talked about. It has to be discussed and has got to be outed. And tonight, as I record this in the evening, I'm a little bit hesitant to record this as well. I'm a little bit hesitant to be talking about this because I know that it's going to upset some people. And I know that's going to upset some well-meaning people. I know it's going to upset some intelligent people. I know it's going to upset people that like me. It may cost us subscribers. And I wish I could just come on here and talk about fear porn and get everybody excited. Talk about end time prophecy, Jesuit garbage, and get everybody excited. It'd be a lot easier to just go the mainstream way and do what everybody else does and just, count subscribers and count checks. But that's not the way we roll here. And my goal is to get people more than just a cliche, but a way of doing business. My goal is to get people to guide their own spirits. My goal is to get people to master their own ascension. My goal is to get people to be their own guru. My internet shows green, so I don't know. We are having some weather here. Sorry about that. And in order to do that, I think we have to learn to be divine. We have to learn to be sovereign. We have to learn to be free. We have to learn to listen to ourselves. We have to learn to be able to reach divinity for ourselves, by ourselves, through ourselves. And I think that I'm going to go ahead and end this and start over again. Well, greetings and salutations to you one and all. We're coming to you live from an undisclosed location somewhere deep in the heart of American flyover country, somewhat stormy American flyover country. So we hope that the stream is acceptable in your location. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you are, and whenever you're able to take in this episode of Podcast Excellence. Speaking of Podcast Excellence, we had a great show last night with Rocky Stucci and Scotty Roberts. In fact, a couple of them. And then this morning, the second installment of our series about the horrific truth of child sacrifice and child abuse within the Roman Catholic and the Roman Protestant churches. So here we are with another subject tonight, which is not all that fun, but yet it has to be, in my opinion, talked about, because I'm here to do some very simple things to help you unindoctrinate yourself. And to do that, you have to learn how to guide your own spirit. You have to learn how to master your own ascension. You have to learn how to be your own guru, ladies and gentlemen. And that means learning how to seek answers for yourself, how to find answers for yourself, and how to be able to communicate with divinity, with your higher self on your own. That's just the way that things have to be, if you're going to be able to be a person that is divine, a person that is sovereign, and a person that is free. And so many of us have come out of big time organized religion, and we are at the place in our lives where we won't just listen to preachers anymore. We won't listen to pastors anymore. We won't listen to priests anymore. And many of us have grown beyond that place of having someone in spiritual authority tell us and teach us. And yet, ladies and gentlemen, so many of us are so accustomed and so willing to listen to channelers. And that, to me, is a cause for concern. And I might have to add to my mantra of guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, be your own guru, and add on there, be your own channel. If you believe, ladies and gentlemen, that the divine speaks to you, if you believe, ladies and gentlemen, that you can contact your own higher spirit, if you believe, ladies and gentlemen, that there is no intermediary between you and the divine, then why would you be willing to listen to secondhand information given to somebody else from some allegedly divine source and then given to you? I don't get it. That's secondhand information. I don't want to get secondhand information about anything, much less the things of deep spiritual importance. But Jeff, there's a lot of great channelers out there. I know a lot of people think there's a lot of great channelers out there. I have never liked the channeling business. I tried over the past 6 months or so to open my mind to it. And we've had some channelers, Jay and I have talked to some people that channel. I've talked to some people that channel. And man, I'm just at the place now where it just seems like it's the same thing as listening to a pastor. It's the same thing as listening to a priest. And you got to be your own channel. If the divine wants to speak to me, then the divine can speak to me and I'm ready to listen. I am finding myself increasingly unready and unwilling to listen to channeled information. About the only one that I will still listen to is Magenta Pixie. And interestingly enough, Magenta Pixie says that she's channeling her higher self. Magenta Pixie says she's channeling her higher self. That makes sense to me. So why are we listening to channelers? And why are we putting great weight and stock in the words of channelers? Now, I may still have one on from time to time because it's interesting and people think it's interesting, but I am all but out of the channeler business. With all due respect, I don't think that God needs to go through you to get to me. What if you're a channeler? How are you any different than a priest? The priest says God comes through the priesthood and to the people. The preacher says God comes through the ministry and to the people. That is so much BS. I believe that we're divine. I believe that we're sovereign. I believe that we're free. We don't need a preacher. We don't need a priest. And we don't need a channeler. Joyce, are you serious? Says, I agree. It's difficult to know where the channeling comes from. That's a great point. Do you realize that in the realm that surrounds our realm, call it the astral realm, call it what you will, there are disembodied spirits for one reason or another that haven't passed through for one reason or another to go to where they're supposed to go and do what they're supposed to do. They are, for lack of a better term, as my good friend and indigenous shaman and MD psychiatrist, Dr. Andy Toltek used to tell me, they're the clippings of the vegetables. They're the cuttings of the meat that you don't want to eat. When you pass through, you leave this realm of existence, and to get to where you're supposed to go, to get to where you're supposed to be, you pass through a zone where the things that aren't capable of going to a higher realm fall off. That's our astral realm. And the sad, honest, hard truth that a lot of you aren't going to like, but that's okay. A lot of you aren't going to like me anyway. The sad, hard truth is that the astral realm is populated by spiritual junk that wasn't good enough, mature enough, developed enough, powerful enough to get to where it's supposed to be. And it's hanging out in the astral realm, waiting to fertilize the astral realm and disintegrate naturally. And when you start listening to it and letting it channel to you, you're giving it energy and you're keeping alive that which should die. It's really energetic zombies. They're energetic liches. And you're listening to them. Well, how do you know the channelers aren't channeling their higher self? Well, the only one I know that is Magenta Pixie. And I'm convinced, ladies and gentlemen, that the channelers themselves or the entities they're channeling will say things and tip us off to the fact that, guys, this ain't real. Whether they do it to poke us, whether they do it because they have to by some crazy moralistic code, they tell us this ain't legit. They tell us this ain't real. And I was given a book to read, and the book is, and I'm not going to tell who the book is, I'm not going to tell who the author is, because I don't want this to be about personalities, but the book is by a famous channeler. If I called the name, you would know them. 269 pages. It took me to page 21 to realize that it was all BS. Thank God I didn't have to go to page 221 or 321. The book doesn't have 321 pages. But they give us tips along the way. And if we were as discerning and as rational and as logical with channeled information as we are with preached information and priested information, we would catch this stuff. But I just want to go through and show you this. This is a channeler's book, famous channeler. A lot of you probably like this channeler, respect this channeler, and, well, I can't do anything about that. I'm going to have to make a glasses change just in case so I can read this. And I'm not trying to upset anybody. I'm not trying to piss anybody off. But if encouraging you to get your information firsthand and not secondhand or thirdhand is bad advice, then I'm guilty of giving bad advice. If encouraging you to be your own channel instead of looking to a channel is bad advice, then I'm guilty of bad advice. If telling you to grow up and get your own message is bad advice, then I'm guilty of bad advice. So even though you don't want to hear it, here it comes. I'm going to share with you what I've discovered. And think about it in just terms of human terms. Let's say that you were interested in a boy or a girl, okay? Romantically interested in a boy or a girl. Now, those of us that aren't very skillful in matters of the heart might send a note to one of our friends, to a girl or a boy that we want to communicate with. We might send notes. If you like me, check yes or no. Notes. But the best way to do it is to go up and talk to that person, because sooner or later, if you're going to have a real relationship, you're not going to be sending notes anymore. Channeled information is an incomplete relationship with God. You're sending notes to God. You're sending notes to divinity. And if you ever play the telephone game, whisper in somebody's ear, the green toad hopped across the rocky road. And then 3 people later, it's the green rock killed the toad in the road. Information gets jumbled. Information gets scrambled. And this is your spiritual awakening. This is your spiritual life. And you're making decisions based on channeled information. Can we just remove the spirituality from it? Can we just remove the high sounding rhetoric from it? Channeling is at least secondhand information. Somebody told somebody and they're telling you. And yet, oh, Jeff, I can talk to God myself. I can go straight. Well, then why don't you? And I'm telling you, folks, that even the channels or the entities they're channeling are giving you clues that it's a sham. You're listening to astral junk. And I'm reading this book, and I'm reading it with an open mind when I first picked it up, and it says, and this is talking about how this person began to channel, and it says, it is though I'm going to leave this name out, as though these people spoke and whispered in my ear and said, right. They say to me, the truth has been hidden too long, right. Don't let the knowledge be lost again. I cannot claim that what I present in this book is the absolute truth. Facts beyond dispute, I don't know. Well, when you get information directly from the divine, you do know. There is no dispute. As we move on in the book, they will show you that they are, and they'll show you what's going on, and you should know this just doesn't sound right. And this just didn't sound right to me. It said, it's possible to speak with those long dead and relive again with them their lives and death. It's possible to travel backwards hundreds, even thousands of years to explore the past. I know because I've done it not once, but hundreds of times. I've done it through regressive hypnosis, where people remember and often relive their past lives. If you do any objective empirical study on regressive hypnosis, you realize that it's a shot in the dark, ladies and gentlemen. It's very hit or miss. There's a reason why regressive hypnosis is not allowed even in human courts of law. It's a pseudoscience. It's pseudo spirituality. It's maybe, no, maybe. It's shaky, ladies and gentlemen. Regressive hypnosis. Are you at the place in your Are you at the place in your spirituality where you have to go to somebody else who puts somebody else in regressive hypnosis in order to get your information from the divine? Is that where you are in your spiritual life? I'm a regressionist, the modern term for a hypnotist who specializes in past life regressions. I don't use hypnosis in the conventional manner. I've been deeply interested in reincarnation for 20 years. My husband, hypnotist, gave regressive experiments. My appetite was whetted. The door was opened. I loved history. It was a fascinating way to destroy it or to discover it. The method was similar in going to a time tunnel and meeting people that lived in the past. It was possible to speak to those experiencing history as it was occurring. My husband was no longer interested, but I would conduct my own research. This is the channeler. The conventional methods of induction did not appeal to me. I thought they were much too time consuming and much too tiring on the subject and the operator. They contained many tests to determine the depth of the trance. I've often suspected that people are unconsciously resent being tested. Do you understand what this channeler is saying? This channeler is saying, I don't like the conventional methods. They don't appeal to me because they take too much time. I don't like to test. I don't like to probe. I don't like to prove. I want to run loose and fast. There's a reason why, ladies and gentlemen, as a licensed practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, I feel I can say this. As a trained, licensed Ericksonian hypnotist, I think I can say this. There's reasons for the tests. There's reasons for the somewhat seemingly methodical process. And this particular channeler, famous. I don't want to take that time. I don't want to do the tests. I want to be loosey-goosey. That's what I'm hearing. Maybe you hear something else. That's what I'm hearing. I felt there's got to be a quicker, easier way of inducing trance for regression purposes. I don't want to put my roast in the oven and cook it for 2 hours and 15 minutes. I want to put it in a microwave, press 3 minutes, and have it be done. Ladies and gentlemen, the road to spiritual growth ain't microwave quick and easy. The road to spiritual revelation ain't microwave quick and easy. And maybe that's really the reason why so many people want to listen to channelers, because they don't have to do the work themselves. Oh, this person talked to that spirit and they said this. I got it. Do we really want to subject our spiritual growth to a microwave mentality? Are we looking for the quick? Are we looking for the easy? May I suggest to you, as your friend, as a person that loves you and cares about your development, if you're looking for the quick route, if you're looking for the easy route, if you're looking for the path of least resistance, you'll find it. But it's not what you'll find through the dark night of your soul. It's not what you'll find on your face, snot and tears, covering you up, broken, finding that green ball of you that can only be accessed by having a dark night of the soul and doing the inside work. Yeah, there's a quicker and there's an easier way. But remember the old adage, ladies and gentlemen, you get what you pay for. And sometimes that which is realized too easily is not appreciated with the requisite depth. Maybe if you want to put some food in a microwave so you can eat quicker, that's one thing. This is your spiritual destiny. And this is just my opinion. This just screams out to me, fraud. Whether this person knows that they are a fraud is not my point. The best subjects are those that can reach the somnambulistic state. Somnambulistic state. I gotta define that for you. Somnambulistic, because we can't go past that word, or your ability to understand what I'm saying will be reduced by up to 60%. Somnambulistic. Somnambulistic. Somnambulistic definition, Merriam-Webster. An abnormal condition of sleep in which motor acts, such as waking, are performed. Somnambulistic, it's like sleepwalking. It's being in such a deep and profound condition of sleep. Do you really want to wake yourself up by information that is gleaned by the deepest of sleeps? I'm just asking. In this state, this somnambulistic state, the one that's being regressed, will become completely the personality and relive the life totally, even to possessing no memory of any other time period. Am I the only one that thinks that sounds like they're possessed? Pretend you're astral junk. You're floating around out there. You're starving to death, dude. You're this close to being dead. And all of a sudden you hear this little words filtering up about, go back to your life in King Arthur's castle. What did it look like? And you're like, oh man, I could latch onto that. And you say, oh, it was a beautiful tall castle. And they hear it. And then they respond to you and you're like, you get a little jolt. Ooh, well, tell us more. And you say to them, oh, it was, there was a green forest and the sun shone and the icicles glinted with the glory of the heavens. And then they're like, oh, really? Tell us more. And all of a sudden, you, as this astral junk that's about this close to dead, you start getting, oh, yeah, you start getting powerful. This is what's going on. And then you totally possess that person because you want to live. I want to live. Star Trek. They become, in all respects, the person living hundreds or thousands of years ago. They become, in all respects, completely possessed. They're in a position to relate their visions of history, but they can only tell you what they know. They're possessed. They're somnambulic. That's the ones you want, the ones that are easy to get possessed. One of the most famous channelers ever is writing this. And they will remember nothing when they are awakened unless they're directed to do so. That sounds like possession. And do you want information from a person that facilitates the possession of another person to get information from what is, in all likelihood, a piece of astral trash? That's what channeling is. And you may not like me for saying it, but you got to face yourself in the mirror. And it says the somnambulist is hard to find. Well, no kidding. It's hard to find an empty slate willing to be possessed quick and easy in a microwave methodology. Yeah, it's hard. But this channeler didn't give up. They met someone who they gave a name to. I won't give a name. And interestingly enough, they met them at a party given by a group of people interested in metaphysics and psychic phenomena. Have you ever been to the psychic fairs? I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's exactly like Walmart, but have you been? It's a lot like Walmart. You know what I mean. Interesting individuals. And let's face it, folks, can we just be honest? Sometimes our genre doesn't attract the most stable of individuals. Sometimes people that podcast on YouTube aren't the most stable of individuals, are we? And we have to ask ourselves from time to time, am I straight here? And we have to have people in our lives that say, bro, you need to think this one over. I've made mistakes because I didn't listen to people that said, hey, Jeff, no. So I have cultivated not many, but a couple people in my life that'll say, hey, Jeff, calm down a little bit. So at the psychic fair, this channeler found this person. And see, this is why, I mean, little things like this, they're possessed. Ooh, find them at a psychic fair. Ooh, but listen to this. This is why I think they're trying to tell you it's bogus and you just won't listen. She seemed so well adjusted and had a normal social life. In her spare time, she spent all of her time reading romance and fantasy novels. In her spare time, this ideal somnambulist spent all of her time reading romance and fantasy novels. And you're getting information that you're basing your spirituality on by people that read fantasy and romance novels all the time and hang out at psychic fairs and are very easy to possess. If you want to, okay. I'm just laughing because it says, I knew I had found the perfect somnambulist subject. Oh, and then telling me about warning signs. Tell me about red flags. Famous channeler. If I called her name, there would be 14 people here instead of 140 right now. Because you'd get mad at me. If she was willing, I wanted to work with her as long as her parents didn't find out. I hope there'd be no problems in this area, but I thought she was old enough to make decisions for herself. She gets possessed real easily. She reads romance and fantasy novels. She wants to do it, but I hope her parents don't find out. Does that not make somebody say, whoa, wait a minute? Dudes, dudettes, is this thing on? Come on. I was hoping that her parents wouldn't find out. Ay, ay, ay. This regressor took this girl back, I guess, without her parents finding out, apparently. Do we really want to be? I mean, how much stuff is going on in religion that we hope the parents don't find out about? And we want to be party to this? We uncovered 26 separate lives going back to the Christian era. And then we found out that she had known Jesus. I had discovered someone who not only knew Jesus, was one of the Essene teachers of Jesus. Was that in a fantasy or a romance novel? Or was that real? But some of you think it's so true, you're using it for your spiritual growth. I had to believe her. The channeler wrote. There was no possibility that she was lying because she was speaking from a deep hypnotic trance that made lying impossible. She was so possessed, dude. There's no way she could be lying. They're telling you that it's bogus. They're telling you that it's crazy time. They're telling you. She had been a doctor in Alexandria, discussing drugs and method of surgery used in the 400 AD period. She had been a yellow-robed monk in the mountains of Tibet. She would make mistakes in grammar that she wouldn't really make if it was her, so it had to be true. She was good and possessed. And I came to know this entity, and I won't say the name because some of you would connect who it was. I came to know this entity quite well. She just said, oops, the channeler just said, I came to know the entity. What's an entity? An entity is a thing that possesses a person. They're telling you it's entities. Archonic entities. And then, interestingly enough, this perfect somnambulist patient says, I study the books of the Torah. I study Hebrew law. Yeah, because that's where I want to go. And on page 21, ladies and gentlemen, came the smoking gun, the aha moment of they're lying. And there's no way to dispute this because this person is in AD, somewhere between AD 1 and AD 50 or 60. They knew Jesus, quote unquote, taught Jesus, quote unquote. He only lived to 33, right? So this entity says there's a point. This entity says in AD, let's be as forgiving as we can. Say it was AD 100. And this entity said, there's a point in every Hebrew young man's life when he must study the law and the Torah, and it's when he has his bar mitzvah. If you wish to become a master or a teacher to follow the pathway, you must always leave yourself open for learning. Let me read that again, and maybe some of you will get this. It was probably AD 30, but let's say AD 100. And this entity that was possessing this girl that this regressionist was working with, hoping her parents wouldn't find out, who loved to read romance and fantasy novels, who she met at a psychic fair, says that the entity that possesses her says every Hebrew young man's life is when he starts to say the law and Torah, but it's usually when he has his bar mitzvah. Here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Let's say it was AD 100. Do a little study on the origin of bar mitzvah. Bar mitzvahs didn't start happening until the 13th or the 14th century. Bar mitzvahs did not exist till the 13th and 14th century. And this person, channeled in regression, teacher of Jesus, knowing Jesus, talking about their bar mitzvah in AD 33 or AD 100, busted. Oops. Busted. Bar mitzvahs didn't exist in AD 33 or AD 100. Didn't exist until the 13th or 14th century. And the concepts of a bar mitzvah didn't even start until maybe the 400s or 500s. They're 400 or 500 years too early. The entity made a mistake. Now, was the entity making the mistake to tell us, look, you guys, this is bullshit? Was it the channeler out of some sense of duty saying that so we know this is bullshit? And this book has sold millions of copies. When was this book published? When was this book published? And it sold millions of copies, ladies and gentlemen. This book was published in come on. First publishing 1992. How many people have read this book, swear by this book, love this book, and have never and read it and didn't know that smoking gun on page 21 showing that it's falsehood, it's it's a charlatan, it's hocus pocus, it's smoke and mirrors, it's fake. It's fake. How can I be the first one to read that and realize this shit is fake as fake can get? Maybe it's the 100,000 hours of study. Maybe it's a Bible college degree. Maybe it's the 20 years in ministry. And maybe because Jewish people don't read this stuff. Folks, one of the most famous channelers out there, busted. Busted. It's not real. It's fake. I'm not going to tell you the book's name, and I'm not going to tell you the name of the channeler. Because I don't want to prejudice you. Think about it. Nigel gave up on page 23, so I think he knows what I'm talking about. If you want to get your information from channeled sources, you're divine, you're sovereign, you're free, you can do it. I often say I'm the mailman. I just bring the mail. Sometimes I bring you checks and you love me. Sometimes I bring you bills. You hate me. Can I just say, guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, be your own guru, be your own channel? You're divine. You're sovereign. You're free. You don't need anybody to pass a note to the divine. And the divine doesn't need anyone to pass a note to you. Go to the source. We're divine. We're sovereign. We're free. We're the last generation of real humans. And if we can get over things like this, we'll be the next generation of new gods. I'm encouraging you. I'm imploring you. I'm exhorting you. Be your own channel. Step up. Grow up. Get beyond the microwave mentality. Do the work. Press on for yourself. Don't take secondhand information. What did I title this? I said, moving beyond hand-me-down enlightenment. You don't need hand-me-down enlightenment. Get your new, fresh, powerful enlightenment for your damn self. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, here to help you guide your own spirit, master your own ascension, be your own guru. You are the last generation of real humans. You're the next generation of new gods. Ask questions, question answers. Be your own channel and unindoctrinate yourself.